I want to talk to you today about receiving the blessings of your bloodline. At the end of Genesis 11, God starts to talk to us about Abram. And it begins with Abram's father, Terah. God had spoken to Terah and his bloodline and called their family to the land of Canaan. Along the way, Terah stops at Haran, and it says he settled there. And that's a prophetic picture of how sometimes our families or our bloodlines or the generations before us have stopped short of coming into and inhabiting the fullness of the promises of God's blessing for our bloodline. But here's what's exciting. Even if that's happened in your bloodline, even if you can look back and say, oh, my mother or my father or my grandmother or my grandfathers or my ancestors, they stopped short of the fullness of the blessing of what God has promised our bloodline. Here's what's exciting. At the beginning of Genesis 12, God speaks to Abram and says, now I'm calling you. Leave where your family has been and step out in faith and come forward, and I will bless you with the fullness of everything I have promised you. See, even if your bloodline has stopped short, generations before you have stopped short of everything the Lord has for your family, for your generations, for your bloodlines, it can all begin anew and afresh right now, right here with you. All you have to do is turn to the Lord and say, Lord, I want everything you've promised me, my generations, and my bloodline. Speak to me. Call me forth. I'm willing to leave where my family has been and step out in faith to receive the fullness of your blessing for my bloodline. It's that simple. And just like God led Abram every step of the way and brought him into the fullness of his blessing for him and his bloodline so that he and his children and his children's children and his children's children's children, all the way down to us, have been blessed because he said yes to God, you can say yes to God and begin to inhabit the territory of God's fullness of blessing for you and your generations. Start today.